Hello, Flirty, and welcome to this brand new Flirtini. Are you excited? I'm excited. Sugar, my cat, is excited. The Flirtinis made their debut all the way back about a year ago. The Flirtinis are mini episodes of my podcast. Flirtations really focus on a singular topic or question, although this first one, not so many, but that's okay. This first one, 5-ish, 10-ish, first date tips to get out of your head and into the flirt, what to talk about on those dates, how to set them up, how to manage the nerves and anxiety. So much good stuff coming for you. So if you're out there dating on the apps, meeting people in real life, both, none of the above, taking a break, but you're curious about getting back into dating in the near future, this episode, this Flirtini, it's for you. How these Flirtinis work is there will always be a quick intro. That's this. You're listening to the intro right now. Then the theme song will play, and then we get into the full Flirtini, and then it pretty much just ends. Thank you for listening. You can also watch the full Flirtini up on YouTube if you prefer video. This one is split up into two parts because I just couldn't put it all in one. Future topics we'll be exploring on the Flirtinis are how to express interest in dating, how to express vulnerability, right? That goes along with the interest piece, how to know if multi dating is right for you, how to get over a situationship, early green and red flags to look out for, tips for the dating apps, and so much more. If there's a topic you want to see explored on a Flirtini, leave a comment, whether you're listening on Spotify, maybe watching on YouTube. Yeah, let me know. It's my goal for the Flirtinis to be the besties to the full guest interviews of Flirtations, which drop every Monday and Friday, as I just want to help you flirt and date and make those connections. All right, now let's get into this first Flirtini in almost a year tips for a first date.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, Flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, Flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Hello, welcome as we talk about tips for a first date, how to keep the conversation flowing, how to calm some of those nerves. This might be 5, it might be 7, it might be 10. I don't know. I'm glancing down at my notes to make sure I don't miss a thing for you. Let's go. We're jumping into the part of this dating process where you've already got the first date. So maybe you met in person, you caught a flirt, got a number, set up a date. Yay. Or you got asked on a date. Yay. Or you're on the apps and got a first date. Yay. Congratulations. That's amazing. Not easy to do in today's dating climate. So you've already got the first date, and now this thing can happen. I want to address here, like confirming the date. Because sometimes maybe you set up a date on a Wednesday and you have it that weekend, or maybe you set up a date a week prior, 2 weeks prior, and this thing can happen where it's like, I don't know, I'm not hearing from them, we're not really talking. Is the first date happening? Okay. It's not a red flag or like there's something wrong if you're not texting or talking a bunch between like setting the date and the date. Honestly, that's a little bit preferable. Save the conversation for the first date. If you're more of that anxious attacher, save it for the date, the conversation at least. You don't need to be talking a bunch and texting a bunch before you've even met somebody. Just save it for the date. Oh God. Jesus, Benjamin. So ideally, the person that set up the first date will check in, confirm a few days before, day of, hey, so excited to see you tonight at so-and-so place at this time, whatever we're doing. Can't wait to see you, kind of thing. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So if you have the first date set and you're not hearing from them, you could always reach out yourself. Hey, just check in, make sure we're on for so-and-so at whatever time, or whatever place, right? And that's really it. Sometimes we get wrapped up in gender norms, conventions, rules, right? If the guy is asking the girl on the date and he didn't confirm, if you reach out to confirm day before, day of, does that mean you're chasing? Does that make him low value? I think just get to the first date. I think just do that and then let everything else evolve from there. Fantastic. So we've got a first date. It's confirmed. Oh, and if they don't confirm, I mean, if you reach out to confirm and they say nothing back, well, then I would, I would reach out again. Hey, haven't heard from you. Would you like to reschedule? Something like that. Hey, haven't heard back from you. I'm going to assume that for whatever reason, we're not able to meet tonight. Would you like to do it next week or next weekend? Something like that. Like if they're not confirming your confirmation, oh my gosh, I know we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but I know these are some of the thoughts that you have and some of the experiences that you will have. And so if they don't confirm the confirmation, then I would just assume it's not going to happen and offer to reschedule, like something like that. You don't want to show up to some place and just like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard from them in a few days. I reached out to make sure the date was on. They didn't say anything. Like at that point, they've got to take some ownership and let you know what's happening. All right. So let's say everything's going great. You've got the date, it's confirmed, and now you're ready to show up. I think it's worth talking for a moment here about what you're going to wear. I mean, this might be situation or date specific, kind of dependent on where your date is going to be. But I always just say wear something comfortable, right? Wear something that you feel really confident in. Like something that can happen is you want to be, you want them to think you're hot, right? You want them to think that you're attractive. Of course, like, of course, we're only human at the end of the day. And yet I say, dress for you. When you're setting up, getting dressed for that date, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, I want your thought to be, damn, I look good. Whoever I'm about to go on a date with is lucky that I am going to be going on a date with them versus, oh my gosh, I hope they think I'm pretty. I hope they think I'm hot. I hope they like me, right? That kind of thing. The point is not even to be liked. The point is to try and cultivate, co-create a connection. Just see if there's something there, if there's a little bit of chemistry, like if there's that little bit of interest. Let's just simmer on those thoughts and dress for us. Maybe do our hair a little bit, maybe some makeup, maybe some fragrance. Yeah, the fragrance can really hit. But I would say impress yourself first before you look to impress the other person with what you're wearing and all of that. Okay, I'm doing a little bit of simple math here, and I think that's 2 tips so far, maybe 3. Let's get to this one, the high value date, the low value date, the marathon date, all of that good stuff. First of all, I do have a 3 public date rule. If you're new here, hello, so glad you're here, so glad you're watching. God, my head keeps covering my sign. Shout out to Maddie for making that sign. So your first 3 dates, I say, need to be in public, because sometimes what can happen is you got that first date, maybe it's a marathon date, out to dinner that turns into a movie, that turns into a walk, that turns into a dessert, whatever, and then maybe come back to my place, or you part ways in the second date. Oh, come back to my place. I want to cook you dinner. No. Your first 3 dates are in public. Let the connection evolve, grow in public. If somebody wants to see you, truly wants to see you and pursue possibly dating and developing a relationship with you, whether it's for a season or a lifetime, they will make time for you in public. That's what we are doing. So 3 public dates. And then what are we doing on those dates? Like there's a lot of content out there that is very like poo-poo anti the coffee date. And like the first date has to be like the prime time date, Friday, Saturday night. It's got to be dinner. It's got to be expensive. It's got to be extravagant. Ultimately, you have your standards. You decide what your first date is or could be for you. What's acceptable for you. For me, what makes a date high value or low value, why am I even speaking in those terms? I don't know. But what makes a date high value or low value is, can the person, right, is there some interest there pre first date? Is there some bare minimum baseline communication to set it up? Did we get there? Are they showing up on time? Are they appropriately, like, did they even put a little bit of effort into how they're going to look, or did they just roll out of bed kind of thing? Like, I don't know about that. Like, oh God, even if I showed up to a first date like this, I don't know, maybe the other person would walk away. I'm not sure. But like, can they show up on time, right? Are they respectful? Are they asking questions? Do they seem like they're interested in getting to know you? Are they letting you talk, right? Or are they just talking over you the whole time? We're going to get into some conversation tips here in a moment, but ultimately, like how much someone can spend on you or how little they can spend on you doesn't indicate how high value or low value their potential is as a partner, as actually overlooking what actually matters and is what is going to build the foundation of a relationship. And in this initial, very, very early stage, the first date, it's how do you feel, right? Are you catching a vibe? Is there some mutual interest? Do you like how you feel around this person? Do they seem like they have a good energy? Are they displaying some respect, some conscientiousness, some active listening, some empathy? Yeah, like that's what I feel makes a date high value or low value or good and bad. And let's talk about the marathon first date now, which I do think sometimes more often than not can be a little bit of a trap where the first date just is going so well, you don't want it to end. And I get that. Part of it is this mindset of maybe you haven't had a good first date in a long time and you're like, is this my only chance? Right? I've never had a first date like this before ever in my life, perhaps. You don't want it to end. And it's a little bit of like, and it's this we're having so much fun. The conversation is flowing. Why would I want to cut off? Why would I want to limit? Why would I want to walk away from a good thing? Well, if the first date is that good, you know what might be even better? The second date. The second date, and then the third date, and then the fourth date. The first date as a marathon date. Sometimes, like I've worked with some of y'all where the first date turns into a marathon date that then turns into a relationship. More often than not, that marathon date is the person that is going to ghost you. Then the very next time. So I know if you're having a great time, you don't want to just like end it. Bye, gotta go. See ya. But if you're having a really good time, you could very well set yourself up for a fantastic post first date conversation, an amazing second date, and then let the connection build from there, kind of thing. I mean, if you're already starting at a 10, I mean, you don't want the first date to be like the best date of all the dates. It can be really good, but we also want, there to be more date. All right. So, for what you can do on that first date, what do you want to do? Right? What's something you would enjoy? What's something that would be fun for you? What do you have time for? What's your schedule like? Maybe it's about convenience. What's something that's a little bit close to you? For me, I like those more experience first dates. I tend to have some first date anxiety, some nerves. And so something I can like where we're doing something. It could be bowling. Like how much fun is that? For a first date, maybe you go play mini golf. Maybe it could be laser tag. You go to the escape room. Like you go have a picnic and walk around the park, right? All of these are public places. Maybe you get ice cream. Maybe you really like doing the active first dates and you go rock climbing or you take like a yoga class or something like that. A great first date could also be some of those other kind of like creative classes you could do, like the paint night. You could go to a comedy show. I don't like love movies or even concerts as a first date because I don't know, you're not exactly talking a lot. You're just sort of like there and vibing. And yeah, maybe you're dancing, talking during a show or concert. And a movie, you're like, I don't know. It's sort of like, what am I doing with my hands? Are we holding hands? Like, what is this? There's sort of like, I don't know, sometimes a little tension there. Like, what are we doing? I would rather be talking to you right now. But a comedy show, right? You can laugh, you can make eye contact through it. There's usually intermissions or at least one. So you get that break. You can step outside, maybe grab a little dinner before, maybe go out for dessert afterwards. So yeah, on those first dates where I can be doing something that helped me move through a little bit of energy, I find to be very helpful for me. But ultimately, you do you, right? And so going back to setting up the first date, maybe you initiate, maybe you propose, maybe you offer something you would like to do, maybe they do. So, yeah, those are some first date ideas. To recap, all right, the first date has happened, confirming what do we wear? Little bit of mindset. What are we doing on the date? Fantastic. Now we're on the date. How are we greeting each other? I get this question sometimes. like whatever makes you most comfortable. If we've been talking, for maybe like a week off and on texting, there's been a little bit of flirting, maybe there's already been a phone call or FaceTime, you feel like there's some familiarity there, maybe you do greet them with a hug. Maybe it's more of a handshake. Maybe it's more of like a, hey, it's so nice to meet you kind of thing. Like, I think sometimes we make that initial greeting very awkward, but going in with some open energy, a smile, some eye contact, right? Just really bringing that. And then maybe you match whatever they do. Maybe they go in for a hug and you're not ready for that. Oh, hello, name. Yeah. And then you say, maybe we can end the date with a hug, right? Something like that. So, whatever your boundaries are, whatever you're comfortable with, go with it, right? You get to do what ultimately is best and most comfortable for you. Okay. Greeting one another, fantastic. Oh, and use their name in the greeting. Yeah, you know their name, right? Use that. That can be a really, really lovely tip. Okay, now what to talk about on the date? Questions to ask. I think honestly, if you're having some nerves, maybe they're even hotter in person than they were in their pictures. If you met on an app, or if you talked on the phone but didn't FaceTime or video chat, and this is the first time you're seeing them in person, like, I think acknowledging some of the nerves and anxiety is really fun, and it's cute and it's vulnerable. And chances are they are feeling a little bit nervous as well. So I think it's totally okay to do that. And then when it comes to what questions you're going to ask, I feel like you can go almost in two different ways and then blend these ways together, where we might gravitate towards the checklist style questions. What are you looking for? Tell me about your last relationship. How was that? What did you learn in that last relationship? What do you do for work? What do you do for school? So, you got any kids? Want a family? Like, it's just very interview style. And if you're dating a considerable amount, at least a little bit, and they are as well, they've probably answered these questions a few times. And ultimately, just, I know you don't want to waste your time. I know you want to find someone who is aligned in their intentions, wants, and desires and needs in the same way that you are. And yet, on that first date, you ask someone, hey, are you looking for a relationship? And they say, sure, yeah. Are you looking for a relationship? And you're like, sure, yeah. Okay. Doesn't mean you're looking for a relationship with one another. And we all know that sometimes we do put our best foot forward and want to make that good first impression and may say what we feel like we need to say to get the other person to like us, or what just feels like the right thing to say. So, interview style questions. Sure. I know some of those interview style questions you do want to know family goals, politics, religion, because some of these things are quite literally deal breakers. And yet, I wonder if some of this may have come out in those initial conversations, if you were on an app, if you were texting a little bit, if you did have that pre first date phone call or FaceTime, like maybe you already know some of these things, or maybe you don't, and you do want to and need to ask them on a first date. It becomes about, if there's no obvious, right, deal breakers or red flags with some of those quite honestly qualifying questions, right? Is this going to be a second date or not? How can we evolve and expand the conversation beyond something like, so what do you do for work? Maybe you ask them about some of the initial inspirations that drew them into the work that they do. What caught their eye? Why did they pursue what they do? Or maybe they're exploring a career change or going back to school, or in a phase of life where they're in a transition. That's a really can be interesting place to go in a conversation on a first date, and certainly beyond. So that's one way to have a pretty clinical interview style question open up into something a little bit more. And another thing you can do, like the other style of questions that you can ask, are more around lifestyle and values, and kind of the classic, what do you like to do for fun kind of thing. If you want to ask about travel, something like that, rather than asking something kind of general, right? The most favorite trip you've ever taken, or like your most favorite place that you've ever visited, if they've traveled and you have some experience there and want to, yeah, take the conversation there. Maybe the last place you traveled, the last trip that you took, when you can be a little bit more specific, especially on a first date, when you are maybe feeling some of those nerves, giving yourself something a little bit more tangible, concrete to focus on can help just move the conversation along, so you don't get in your head thinking like, oh my gosh, scanning through, thinking about all the places I've ever been. Yeah. And then maybe you take it in a completely different direction, reading some of these from the comments on A TikTok video I posted where this person says, me asking which one of the seven deadly sins do you think is the worst? And if you could add an eighth, what would it be and why? Why not? If you were a Pokemon, what type would you be and where would you be found in the world? Mm, is one that I love asking just regularly and gets people intrigued. Here's another one. If you could choose, what type of natural biome feature would you be? Mountain, river, lake, forest, desert, rainforest? So feel free to have fun with your questions. The thing about the first date is it's not it's not that serious. I mean, it's serious. It's serious. It's real. I know sometimes in your head, you're thinking, like, I know I've done this. A lot of daters do. You're just thinking, oh my gosh, is this my person? Right? If you are looking for marriage, if you're looking for that long term committed relationship, is this going to be the person that I do that with? And we can put so much pressure on ourselves to show up just perfectly, like these completely flawless versions of who we are, even though we know that version of ourselves doesn't exist. And so have fun with the first date as best you can. I know you want to ask some of those questions. What are you looking for? Tell me about your last relationship. Do you want a family? All of that good stuff. You got to vet the people you're dating, certainly. I mean, part of dating is dataing, gathering information to know if this person, right? Do they have the emotional availability, capacity, and readiness to just enter into a potential partnership, right? Enter into a relationship. Can we co-create that together? And being able to know, at least to some extent, who you are and know what you're looking for, and then show up in that way, and then show up for the other person as well, show up for the people you're dating. That is part of it as well. I mean, we got to check a few of those boxes, of course, and then also have some fun. Have some fun, flirt, offer some compliments. If they're looking real cute, real good over there, you can tell them. You can tell them. And I also want to add here, because I get this question sometimes about how to be vulnerable without oversharing. So something you can do on a first date and really all dates is go into a little bit of storytelling. And so just an example recently from my life, I started taking improv classes, which has been so much fun. And so that is something I would talk about on a first date. And along with that, there's like I've been nervous at times. I've had anxiety. There's been some fear about just like feeling like you're doing something very strange and out of the ordinary and not wanting to like be weird or awkward or stupid or get it wrong or whatever's going through your mind. I mean, all that's gone through my mind. And so that is a way to be vulnerable through storytelling, sharing a recent experience or an experience from your life and just how that felt for you, and then asking them, right, inviting them in, have you ever felt that way? Have you ever been through something like that? Have you ever experienced something like that in your life? You're not exactly revealing like your deepest, darkest fears and traumas and all of these things that may have happened to you in your life. You want to hold a few of those cards close to you for sure. You don't want to lay them all out on the table because unfortunately, and we know from dating, sometimes your vulnerabilities can be used against you, right? You portray or you present an insecurity, just trying to be open and honest and vulnerable and create that deeper connection, really just go beyond the surface. And sometimes people might be like, oh, I could use that against them. But that is where your own self-respect, your own self-assuredness, your own self-compassion comes into play, right? Your confidence, your BFE, your big flirt energy, your boundaries, your standards, your deal breakers, all of that. Like no one is going to be able from that improv example to kind of pinpoint, oh, you must be an insecure person. What? Why? Because I did something new and that made me nervous, because I tried something different and had a new experience and had some self doubts about that. That's just being human. That's just life. And no one is going to be able to play me or use that against me. Yeah, to somehow like get what they want or manipulate me or gaslight me or none of that. And you neither, because you follow the flirt code. Okay, what else is on my notes today? We're getting towards the end of the first date, setting it up for a second date if you want one. If you want one, all right. So if you are with someone who maybe they're nervous and they talk a lot, you can you can interrupt them. Hey, I loved hearing that about you. I want to hear more. Can I share a little bit more about myself, or could I share what my experience like is with that, whatever they're talking about? Maybe it's travel, maybe it's work, maybe it's school, maybe it's past relationships, right? If they're doing this thing where maybe they're not over talking or talking really fast, but just talking about themselves a lot, I mean, honestly, you get to decide if it is even worth, right? Do you want the second date? Or you say, hey, it's been great learning more about you. I'd love for you to ask me something about myself. Or, hey, name what's something you would like to know about me. And you can also flip it and reverse it if you feel like they're really nervous. Maybe they're in their head, they're more on the shy side, they're not talking a lot, and you feel like you're really carrying the conversation. That could be an experience you have on a first date. For sure. After they say something, it could be really anything. Tell me more about that. How was that for you? Wow, that sounds like it was really fun or really exciting or really scary. What was that like? Right? Just asking some of those kind of like bare minimum follow up questions just to get them to talk a little bit more. And that might be enough sometimes to just take a deep breath, right? Exhale, let go of some of the nerves, and just get into the conversation. You could also apply this to yourself, and you're sharing about yourself, something that's happened to you, maybe through that storytelling example. Have you ever experienced something like that? Have you ever done anything like that? Would you ever do something like that? And then that invites them into the conversation and to be part of this story. Perhaps. Finally, I want to add here, if you feel like there's a conversation or a topic coming up, or maybe something that you brought up, they brought up, and it's going a little bit like too far in a sense, you're getting uncomfortable about something, you can absolutely establish a boundary, right? I'm not comfortable talking about that, or I'd love to talk more about that in the future, maybe on another date as we get to know each other a little bit more. Or the other person is maybe being a little too personal with their questions. You absolutely don't have to talk about anything or go anywhere with conversation that you don't want to go to. All right. I hope this has been a really helpful and good video for you. We're going to end here with how to say bye and set it up for a second date. So you can end the date in the same way in which the date started, with that greeting, right? Maybe it's the handshake, maybe it's the hug, right? And just letting them know that you had a good time, saying goodbye. And then I honestly do like ending the date with that. I don't think you need to express interest in a second date necessarily on that first date right then and there. I don't think you need to set up a second date if you want it right then and there. Of course you can. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you had one of those marathon first dates. But knowing that our first 3 dates are in public after the date, if you really did enjoy yourself, regardless of gender, doesn't matter who initiated, who initially planned, doesn't matter. If you enjoyed the date and would like a second date, express that. I think all of us need to get better at expressing interest. No one is a mind reader. No one is a behavioral analyst. No one can exactly know what you're thinking and what you're feeling. If you enjoyed the date, hey, I really enjoyed our time tonight. Thank you so much. I'd love to see you again. That's really kind of all there is to it. And if you didn't, then you can let the person know, no ghosting. Dating karma is real. Hey, appreciate you making, why did I start everything with hey? But hey, appreciate you making the time to go on our date tonight. I wasn't feeling the connection, or I don't think this is a match for me. Wish you all the best out there. Thanks so much for your time, kind of thing, right? It was good getting to know you, or whatever, something like that. And then going back to, if the date was really good and you want a second date, they want a second date, there is such a thing as dating momentum. So if you can, within that next week, go ahead and make that second date happen. And I think you can use a lot of these first date tips for the second date as well. All right, thanks for watching. This completes part 2. If you're watching this one first, head on over to part 1 so you can, finish it. I suppose you were probably really confused, perhaps. But if you watch part 1 first and now are completing part 2, thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment here, a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. You've got any questions, I'm here for you. Any other dating videos you want, lots more coming. The podcast is there, of course, Flirtations, which you can watch here and stream if you prefer audio, everywhere you find your podcast, just helping you flirt and date to the best of my ability. Thank you for being here. I will sign off from here at Flirt headquarters, this has been the Flirt Coach reporting for duty. Thank you so much, Flirty. Happy flirting.